All right, this is it. It's launch week for Stormgate. I got a lot of stuff coming out. We're going to start with patch notes because they have dropped. We're also going to take a look at the roadmap as well. So it's a kind of a two-parter here for this video here today. But today, patch notes, roadmap. Tomorrow, Tim C interview, and there's going to be a winner show match happening later in the day that I'll be obviously spamming the chat for, but not going to be covering. And then Wednesday, we got a $500 four-player show match, 9 a.m. Central, and then probably VODs going to be the rest of the week. Wednesday also is going to have a custom map showcase of all the really cool stuff the community has been making in the custom map editor, even before Necrolyte, that you now are going to be able to have get access to. So it's a totally full week. Make sure to go and turn on the notification bell so you actually don't miss any of this, because I think there's a lot of really good content that I'm putting out that other people are going to be putting out this week, and you don't want to miss any bit of it. So without further ado, patch notes, Necrolyte, full release. Well, it's a live service game, but leaving early access. So they say, welcome to the launch of Stormgate Campaign 1, Ashes of Earth. Which, if you've seen the trailer, if you've seen not the trailer, but you've seen the first video, yes, the Earth is definitely in ashes. Single biggest update yet for Stormgate. The release marks a major milestone as we exit early access and officially launch Stormgate on Steam with a full 12-mission Ashes of Earth Vanguard campaign, complete with new unlockable pets and 36 all-new Steam achievements. Yeah, you can go if you brutal 6, 9, and 12. Missions 6, 9, and 12, you get pets that you can then show off in a 1v1 in one of these days, I hope, in custom games too. But for right now, just for 1v1 and co-op and things like that. Anything in your like official quote-unquote game mode. We're also introducing the first part of our revamped Celestial Armada faction, giving them a massive mechanical, yes, it is big, mechanical overhaul focusing on streamlining complexity and improving playability. Plus a brand new Sigma Labs experimental hub, so you can see what's done or what's kind of seen as feature complete, even if not content complete, and what's still a little bit more in progress. So you get access to the Terrain Editor Alpha, out for everyone, by the way. Opening the full doors to full community map making and custom game support, which is awesome. We talk about this tomorrow in the interview with Tim quite a bit. He is really, the entire Frost Giant team is very excited about what's happening. And it's going to be good. Competitive players can dive into the fresh ladder reset, so no one's going to come in there, and we're going to get rid of all of the outlying Inferno players top of the ladder that maybe don't deserve to be there, myself included. New progression system now tracks your faction growth across modes with new player card nameplates. There's also new art, 2 wild new challengers in skirmish mode, which is a really cool mode that they're adding here. Bug fixes and a balance update for all factions. Here we go. So, patch notes campaign. You get Fuzzy Bot, Terabyte, Bubble Bob. I love the Bubble Bob. It's a golden bob that you can have as a pet. Each unique reward for overcoming the toughest fights if you win them on Brutal. So gives us a list of the campaign names that have been added in. Darkened Skies, Destroyer of Worlds. Dead Reckoning is apparently Tim Campbell's favorite of the new things. So check that out. Get all the way through. These are the pets you can get. I could have sworn there was a Fuzzy Moth of pet available earlier, but well, for now, got this cat-like terabyte thing. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's cute. And then if anything happens to Bubble Bob, I'm going to take everyone out and then myself. Okay. He's very cute. He's like nice and golden. I wonder what the lore is with Bobs now that they've been removed from 1v1. Also, Sigma Labs getting added in. Welcome to Sigma Labs, our experimental testing ground for features and modes that are still in development. Here, you'll get early access to tools and content that are not fully polished, but are ready for community feedback. This area is co-op missions, which are yet to be reworked. To be clear, they're still kind of in the position they were in 0.4. The Terrain Editor Alpha, custom games. In the future, you'll see more modes here, such as the much anticipated Team Mayhem, which is slated for first look in Ornithopter, the big patch after Necrolyte. Also, Terrain Editor is now open for everyone. Jump in and start making your own maps with friends, explore a growing, there we go, a library of custom experiences built by other players. Custom 1v1, free-for-all, 2v2, a bunch of other stuff. We're calling this this initial release of the Terrain Editor Alpha because its current focus is on enabling the community to make custom maps using the standard rule set for PvP games. Spoiler, they're not just doing that. The release of this editor does not include the tools that will be used to edit game data or triggers, but those will be coming in later releases. Be sure to join the hashtag Terrain Editor community on our Discord for tips, tricks, and even recruit playtesters for your original creations. By the way, there's also a lot of input if you want to build your own MOBA. There's the community has been breaking this in all the best ways. And the thing that has me most excited is, as we kind of zoom in on this for a second, it actually still supports map names. Breach is going to be the map name. So when you host a map, it actually is going to support the map name, not the random hex code that it was previously used, which is a massive thing. It means when people host custom maps, you're going to be able to see what you're playing. They also add a bunch of new features. So a pathing tool, rotated tool brushes, camera aligned object box selections, storm gates can be placed in the map editor. There still must be 5, which is funny because I want to say Thanks has already figured out how to do less than 5. So all I'm saying here, if you want to go and make a Stormgate map with Stormgates, but less than 5 Stormgates, go into the Terrain Editor, hashtag Terrain Editor, and get Thanks to help you. You'll be able to make it happen. To add a Stormgate to a map, you place a deactivated Stormgate with a objective tug of war on top of it, and it just goes into how you do that. On to co-op. Co-op is still up and running, and players can continue to enjoy it in its current state. Development on co-op has been kept on the back burner for a while, while we focused resources on our other modes and features, but rest assured, this is not the end. Co-op is an important part of our vision, and we plan to return it with full focus in future updates. And based on the roadmap that also released today, it seems like 3v3 is going to get itself into a good spot, and then co-op. So that's kind of the order of inheritance here. Custom games. Custom games has been moved into Sigma Labs to keep it conveniently close to the Terrain Editor. Since custom games will be the go-to place for setting up and testing your custom maps, having them side by side makes the creation just a little bit easier. You don't have to move your mouse quite as much as you go across, but custom map names are supported. Stormgates have been reworked to better support free-for-all, which I know people in the Discord are already very excited about. There's a new loading screen UI to support a larger number of players, and the Observer Replay UI also supports a larger number of players. So kind of the UI bugs that you'll see sometimes, not as much of a problem. But now, the thing that I've been most curious about, even as Necrolyte campaign, awesome, Celestials Revamp, Part 1. Celestial Armada has begun its long-awaited revamp, aiming to reduce complexity while preserving the faction's hallmark versatility and mobility. In this patch, we're focusing on foundational mechanics, with deeper iteration on unit interactions planned for future updates. So we're going to have a little bit of that with Heaven Step, right, with the Argents and how the Argents have been reworked, but generally, this is a structures and macro side of the revamp, and then units will be adapted based on how that goes. So highlights, Arc ships are now more like traditional command structures found in other factions. They produce workers, relocate, and cast faction support abilities. Collection arrays have been significantly streamlined. They no longer act as pseudo command structures, and all of their abilities have been removed and mostly added back onto Arc ships. Prisms are now aligned with standard worker behavior across factions. Up to 12 can mine from each Illuminite mine. So a lot more granularity in your harass. Therium Purifier has been removed. You can now just harvest Therium directly without needing to return it anywhere. So a little bit more consistent with how you work with Illuminite. From a balance perspective, I might want to see a structure there that you just kind of clump on top of the Therium mine and extract it. I don't know. It might just be fine. Actually, you know what? It's fine because everyone else can go and mine Therium without an extra structure. So that's totally fine. I'm stuck in like the StarCraft 2 paradigm. Morph cores are no longer produced by Arc ships. Instead, most Celestial structures now have an ability called matter reallocation, allowing them to refund most of their cost, I believe it's like 90%, and transform into a morph core. This enables flexible repositioning and conversion into other structures. All I'm going to say is I do not want to base trade Celestials. That sounds horrendous, although I don't think morph cores are technically structures. So if someone lifts up all their structures and they lose their Arc ship, they die. I think that's how that works. Power banks and link nodes have been merged into a single structure that can freely morph between 3 key modes. Grace Light node, which has the healing spell from arc ships that it used to have. Energizer node, which is the old power bank, effectively. And Judicator node, which is a defensive turret that spends energy for defense. Eon gates are now a tier 2 structure, but built directly from the command panel, so not tied to the arc ship or arc station or arc fortress. A little bit smaller as well. The power system has been simplified, no longer includes hidden benefits or effects. Instead, if you're in red power, you can't build structures. If you're not in red power, you can build structures. So kind of like supply blocks, except not quite to the same way. For a complete breakdown of changes, balance of patches are below. Even more changes to the Celestial Armada planned for future patches. Let us know what you think. Give them feedback. But enjoy exploring the new Celestials. I am so excited for the winter show match that's happening tomorrow and my show match happening on Wednesday, because I can't wait to see how Celestials are going to play. It's going to be totally different. The core identity is still there a little bit, but this is a very significant shakeup. Challenger skirmish. In this update, AI skirmish has been expanded with 2 new unique challengers that face off against each featuring their own distinct stats, units, and perks that showcase radically different playstyles and philosophies of war. It's kind of like 1v co-op, because you're facing against the hero Galt, the hero Vokurka as well, and they have their own custom. It's really cool. I got to play around with it a little bit on the dev build last week. It's pretty fun. And if you go up to brutal, it actually can be, if you're like a master's level StarCraft 2 player or something, if you're that level of RTS, it's not going to be that hard, but it is still pretty fun. And it's a lot more difficult than just like playing against the brutal bots. These new bot personalities are intentionally built around strong gimmicks, creating bold strategies, strategic identities with noticeable strengths and exploitative weaknesses. Their lopsided capabilities present a fun challenge for players to puzzle out, adapt to, and ultimately govern through creative counterplay. Just the first of our new challengers, with unique AI opponents planned for future updates, including a Celestial challenger coming later assumedly once the Celestial rework is a little bit more stable. So, Galt is technically Vanguard. He commands a Havoc faction infamous for their loyalty and relentless aggression. Charismatic mercenary king. The major speeches rally his ragtag soldiers. Oh, by the way, the Vokurka Galt, they talk to you if you're in this mode, which is pretty fun. They egg you on, they make fun of you. Ragtag soldiers into a frothing devotion, driving them and their machinery of war to their absolute limit. He is a walking contradiction, reckless but effective, arrogant but admired, and outrageous but deeply dangerous. And will jump on top of you. Slam on your head. Vokurka the Hag. Infernal Host is a conduit to the spirit realm, tapping into their honored cycle of life and death and harnessing its momentum to fuel her dark magic. Phantoms swarm as Vokurka's curse is stronger than normal curse, assails her enemies, or summon spirits fear no end, embracing their demise as yet another chance at victory. So I've primarily played against Vokurka. It was pretty fun. Can't wait to see them kind of iterate on this a little bit more. It looks like campaign progress or certain hero progression elements are being reset. Overall campaign progress will remain intact. I'm just going to go play it from the very beginning again. That's my plan. They just easier that way. Seems to make more sense. Play through it all at once. Any sort of thing you've done, any sort of games or missions you played previously, just go for the tuning at the very least. However, here's specific power progress, such as hero levels, will be reset to ensure a fresh and balanced start. Ladder is also going to be reset. All players will start from the same point, offering a fair opportunity to climb ranks and compete in the new season. And if you're someone who has not played a lot of Stormgate, or coming in new, or just doesn't want to go play against the top players, don't worry. The way the MMR works is that, yes, MSRM is going to go and he's going to be playing at the same 1,500 starting ranking points as everyone else, but very quickly he's going to win these games. He's just going to clear it out. So you might run into some challenging players at the very start, but the ranking system should get you to an opponent that you have that is fairly quickly. Talking about ladder and progression, though, they've added in a full progression system where by doing official game mode, so co-op, 1v1, I don't think campaign, but AI skirmish, you get, oh, no, you do it through campaign. You earn these storm points, which are not a currency necessarily, but they just go in and you can get different levels in the different factions you play, and it gives different nameplates. Also, your Steam profile picture will be your profile picture in game, which they were trying to do something fun with like procedurally generated profile pictures. It didn't really work out all that well. I'm very happy to just have my profile picture in game. Account levels. Playing any mode contributes to your overall account level, which was usually visible on your portrait, as we can see right here where it says 8. Reaching a higher account level will increase your account tier, upgrading the borders around your portrait and player card. Additionally, playing in any mode will level up whichever of the 3 factions is associated with what you just played. For example, playing as Malak in co-op will increase your Infernal's faction level, and playing the Vanguard campaign will increase your Vanguard faction level. We've added a handful of nameplates that appear behind your name on your player card that can be unlocked by leveling up the different factions. So like this kind of cool X thing that Jex has. Steam integration improvements. We've made improvements to how Stormgate connects with Steam, making it easier than ever to find and connect with your Steam friends in-game, which is I'm happy about because it wasn't great previously. It's kind of hard. It worked, but it didn't work incredibly well. So hopefully this is going to make life a lot easier. And they say also that this is just the beginning. There's going to be more stuff. Also, they've added 3 achievements for each of the 12 missions. So a bunch of Steam achievements. They are straightforward objectives to hidden challenges, rewarding players for strategy, exploration, and mastery. Full list of these new achievements. We're going to skip through those. No spoilers here. Just scrolling down. Some backer rewards. Actually, this is kind of cool. Backer rewards for Name a Unit tier from Kickstarter and Indiegogo have been roughly added in. Your chosen names have been added to the game and are randomly assigned to units as you build them. Keep an eye out. You might just spot your custom name on the battlefield if you back to that level. Create and NPC backer perks are still in the works and will be coming later. Can't wait to bring those characters to life, as Frost Giant says. So yeah, your scout can be randomly named Pickle, and they can be very sad when you lose Pickle. The month of August is also going to have Twitch drops, Digital Distortion Fog of War. So if you go watch, say, Winners show match, you go watch my show match, you go watch other things, you're going to be able to get this like a Lich mode Digital Distortion Fog of War, which I think they're getting better at these. The first ones were okay, but then I really liked the Halloween one they did last year. And this glitch one, this kind of Digital Distortion, I think is probably the best one. It says click here, nothing to click, but you link your Steam account to Twitch, you watch enough games in the Stormgate category, you get the thing. They've also heard y'all what you're talking about with pricings, with campaign pricing a little bit. So the three paid campaign chapters, each of them are getting a 10% price reduction. You'll still be able to purchase all 3 together through the in-game bundle options. Heroes will be 15% off as a temporary offer due to Team Mayhem being unavailable and no recent co-op updates. So eventually they're going to go back up to like $10, but for now they're like $8.49, I think it is. Current bundles are being renamed to Basic and Deluxe, and they're adding in an Ultimate Edition that is being introduced, which now includes the Heroes, Riker, and Wars. So everything. Price of this new bundle will be increased slightly to reflect the fact that it contains all playable content available today. If you purchase the previous version, the Ultimate Edition, you will not automatically receive Riker and Wars. Updated bundles are a separate product. So this is $65, or the Ultimate Edition is $65, I believe. The Deluxe is like $25, I think. And Basic is, I think, like $10. So if you care about more than just the campaign, because I want to say the campaign 12 mission pack is also like $25. So get the Deluxe Edition because it gives you a couple co-op heroes for 3v3 for co-op, whatever, Team AM for co-op, and it gives you the full oh no, wait, that's just chapter 1. Never mind. Not quite. So anyways, bit of a discount there, changing some pricing around, and do have an option for you to buy everything that currently exists if you want to. But now we get to move to the thing that I am the most excited about, and that is balance updates. There we go. Also bug fixes, but that's a little bit later. So balance updates. Vanguard. Sova Overcharge is now targeted instead of at a base. I don't know how much of a difference that actually makes because it still is at a base. You just target a base. Sure. I don't think it makes much of a difference. But movement speed bonus decreased from 50 to 30%. Overcharged bonus armor, though, now doubled back to 50. So, bit of a pro and a con there. It hopefully, on all but the smallest maps, does mean that the overcharge rush is heavily nerfed. The bunker rush is nerfed because you're moving a lot slower, so you're not going to get across the map as fast. You may be able to overcharge build the barracks, but I don't think you're going to be able to overcharge build the sentry post. Does mean, though, it's going to be harder to kill these overcharge bobs on aggression as you move across the map. So, pros and cons there. This is the change that I am going to be keeping my eyes on to the most as to whether it is enough of a nerf. Rampart, reinforced no longer autocast for the first 2 seconds after Rampart has finished transforming, which is nice. It means you can kind of go build Rampart, hot build it into a fight, and then cast it on what you want. So you don't have to worry about it auto-casting on something that you don't really want. Now, only auto-cast on targets that have less than 75% HP. So these two things together gives you a lot more control over how the bubble is going to work. Sentry post variants, they now have some different logic in terms of how they work. So right click to load will now have higher priority than right click to rally, which is nice. So a little bit easier to get them in than get them out. Sentry post rally commands will no longer be set from the quick macro panel. So you're not going to be kind of awkwardly tracing a bunch of lines across the map. Flat cannon is no longer the just best against everything as long as it has something in front of it. Anti-ground range decreased to 10, which is, I want to say that's the same as the buzzsaw turret. And it doesn't have the armor. So it does the same amount of damage as buzzsaw for the most part, a little bit less against light, and now it doesn't have that range. So it is forcing you to make some decisions. Do you go buzzsaw? Do you go flak? It's a little more specialized, which I like. Hedgehog outer radius, how much units bump into other units, decreased from 0.8 to 0.6. And the inner radius, so how much they bump into structures and terrain, decreased from 0.8 to 0.375. So they're going to clump up more. Means splash damage is going to be more effective against them. Also, hopefully this is some pathing improvements, I think. Sentinels were apparently doing a little bit more damage than expected, so that has been brought down. Overall, when you look at the Vanguard, not a lot of massive changes. A little bit of nerf in the bunker rushing that we were seeing, but other than that, I don't think we're going to see a lot of change in the power levels here, which does mean that if Vanguard is going to go back to being a competitive race in high-level games, it's going to have to be nerfs on the other two factions, because we're not seeing a lot of buffs here that I am seeing. I guess technically clumping hedgehogs is a little bit higher DPS density, but yeah, we should see nerfs on the other two factions. And it's hard to tell what a nerf is for Celestials, but for Infernals, we should see some nerfs. And we are. So Infernals, Shrine, Greater Shrine, Elder Shrine, Imp recharge time increased from 17 to 18 seconds. So it's going to take that much longer to go build thing or to go build up your economy. Effigy cooldown increased from 5 to 25. But if you build it on Shroud, if you drop it on Shroud, it's 5. And I really like this because what was happening is it felt extremely non-rewarding to go and snipe an effigy. And Infernals always want to fight on Shroud because that's how they apply Curse. That's how they get a little bit of HP regen if they're not actively in combat. That's how they get bonus attack speed if they're Infernal Fury, things like that. So you would want to go and snipe the effigy. But with the cooldown that it had, you had like a 2-second window to snipe the effigy before it would just be a permanent one, and that just didn't feel good. Felt very strong. So this now means that you cannot go and drop a temporary effigy and then drop another one and have it be permanent. You do not have the time. But it is still good for expanding. It takes 2 effigy to get your natural. It's good for area control, but it's not, and it's good for instantaneous fights, but it's not going to be this just uncounterable spell from the Infernals that massively powers up their army. Hellspawn has been buffed in its place from 75 to 50. It still takes a while. But it's about 2 effigies for 1 resurgence. So it's going to be a little bit more usable, which does kind of make up for some of the early game nerfs that they had in terms of imp charge respawn, imp recharge time. There we go. So a little bit more in the mid game, early game not quite as oppressive, which is nice because that should allow other factions to go and contest Stormgates a little bit more. You need less tribute pyres. They're now from 10 to 15 supply. Okay. Stratstone Weaver period decreased. And this is a bit of an early game buff as well. Early to mid game, you don't have to spend as much money on tribute pyres, which means less money or less time replacing imps. Shroudstone has been buffed significantly. It now does more DPS than it used to, than the 0.4 Shroudstone, which is good because 0.5 Shroudstone was horrible. It would take forever to build and then like die in 2 hits and not kill a unit. So it's now 40 or 45 damage every 1.3 seconds. That'll work probably. That should be pretty good. Effigy, a little bit more vision radius to counter getting less of them. Imp has faster projectiles, missile speed increased from 15 to 20, so that damage, the time from an attack to damage coming in is going to be a little bit faster. I don't know if this does not technically increase DPS, but it does kind of increase burstiness, which is potentially useful if you're going to go like pull imps off the line. Gremlins now, oh, okay. So Tribute Pyre is now the totality of the supply of the unit instead of Gremlins giving you a little bit supply and the Tribute Pyre giving the rest. So this is actually a 1 supply nerf to the Tribute Pyre. Because Tribute Pyre used to give 10, you would have 3 Gremlins. That was 16 supply, not 15. But the Gremlins have been buffed to be a little bit more actually static defensive. So they got 20 more HP. They do 2 more damage. Their missile speed doubled, and they cannot be cursed. So MSR, I'm very happy about this one. You're going to have Tribute Pyres to defend bases is a little bit more viable now, which is pretty fun. It's very thematic, right, of the Infernals as well, having these kind of Gremlins going around that are taking part of the defense. So Brute, 5 more HP. I don't think that's going to make that much more of a difference. It's a 2.5% health increase. Something. But they attack a lot slower. 1.2 to 1.6, so an additional half second between attacks. The stun is decreased, is cut in half. You only get 1 Fiend on death by default. If you split with 90% or more HP, you will get an additional Fiend, but otherwise you only get 1. And Fiend Explosion now adds +1 Fiends down from 2. So if you have Fiend Explosion and a Brute dies, you get 2 Fiends instead of 4. If you go and spot it above 90%, you get 3 instead of 4. So it's a pretty significant nerf across the board. Brutes are, yeah, they're a little bit tankier, but everything else, they don't do nearly as much damage and offer a significantly less utility. So my gut says here we're going to see more Gaunt-focused play. Fiend have been buffed, though. Whew, they've been buffed. 50 to 60, that's fine. They're still paper, but 12 damage. And they attack pretty quickly, and they apply the minus armor debuff as well. So this, Fiends, you don't get as many of them, but they do have a lot of harass potential now. Gaunts are being nerfed. It says gains a new upgrade. It's kind of lying. It gets an upgrade back. Now you need Soulbound Chakrams to curse. It's 25-25, 30-second upgrade, but you do have to spend 50 Therium on the Ritual Chamber, and you have to wait for the Ritual Chamber. So it does delay likely the first set of Gaunts with curse until after the first Stormgate, I think. And you do need Soulbound Reaper's Rush for Soulbound, or for Soulbound. Or you do need Soulbound for Reaper's Rush. That's expected. What this means, though, is that you're going to have to be mining more Therium if you want to play with Gaunts and have them be effective in the early game, which means that your Illuminite income is going to go down. So, like, overall, these 2 changes, maybe not the Fiend change, but I read this as a very significant early game Infernal nerf. We're going to have to see if that turns out that way, but that's my initial read on it. Which is good. I think the Infernal early game, how much power they had over the Stormgates was way too strong. Spriggans have been buffed by 25 Illuminite, so they're a little bit easier to get out. And here's the other big nerf. So one of the problems with 0.5 was that you could go get a Soul Stone with the Duplicator at tier 1 at the 330 mark, turtle up really hard on your very strong Brute Gaunt setup here, get to Elder Shrine by like 7 minutes. You'd have 2 dragons at 7 minutes to contest the second one, and you would just snowball the game. Now, the dragon takes 120 seconds to build out of the Elder Shrine, 2 minutes out of the Elder Shrine. On top of that, it means that you can't build anything else. So worker charges are going to start to accrue. It slows down your economic scaling if you're trying to get an extra base. That's also going to go down. Doesn't have a cooldown, so the moment you build one, you can start building another one. But 2 minutes to build this thing is very exploitable. The Blighted Breath as well, which is the cover everything with Curse, range is decreased from 13 to 4, so it's going to be very hard to get this mass curse on top of things. X's are going to target it down. Hedgehogs are going to target it down. The dragon is no longer, its spellcasting ability is not nearly as strong as it was. And the cooldown is increased as well. So big dragon nerfs. It does mean that this kind of oppressive triple dragon timing that would show up, or double dragon that would show up, remove 50% of your entire army's HP and just say, have fun. That's gone. That's a big deal. So I think in general, we're kind of keeping balance here. Vanguard, roughly unchanged for the most part. Infernals, pretty heavily nerfed, and they deserved it, most likely, as sad as it makes me. And now we take a look at the Celestials. We try to figure out the balance of power here. So Cascade Field, which is the thing that you generally need to be on to construct things, has been increased from 15. Most structures were around 10. Arcship's vision, non-Arcship structure range, vision range has gone up a little bit. Power has been no longer hidden buffs or debuffs, and sufficient power is now required to build structures. So much simpler here. Build power banks, you're good. Arcship, Arc Station, Arc Fortress is now the clear command structure of the Celestial faction. It starts off grounded and immobile, but you can move it on tier 1. They no longer have the Skyward Salvation ability. I forget what that ability was. Oh, that's the healing. Yeah, that's the healing that went on to the Grace Light nodes, which is the former power nodes, power banks. You get the Power Surge ability that can be used on collection arrays, or that used to be on collection arrays. It now costs double. It's expensive. It's 50 energy. You can now target collection arrays, but can no longer target command structures. So you can't like chrono out your workers earlier. No longer increases the movement speed of structures, but it does 1.5x the... Oh, sorry. Yeah. 1.5x is, I guess 2.5x is technically the production speed of whatever you surge. It's the health regeneration bonus of the structure as well is increased from 10 to 30, and there's no penalty. So if you're trying to get a unit out early, that's great, but it is 50 energy. So it is one of these things where you're like, it's going to, you have to be very specific with where you use it. If you're trying to hit a timing, you use it, but otherwise you're not going to have a lot of them. It also gained the Zenith Scan ability that used to be on collection arrays and formerly was on top bar. It initially reveals the large duration to 5 seconds instead of 2, and the small location from 8 to 10 seconds. So 15 total seconds of scan, of reveal, useful for this early game scouting, trying to figure out what in the world your opponent is doing. You can also lift off and fly around a little bit and relocate, which allows you to just select where you're going to go. Effectively, flying is the same thing, but select where you want to go and land at a designated location with a single button ability. So just a little bit easier if you want to do that and not have to worry about it. It now constructs collection arrays and will automatically do so if it's next to a Luminite mine without a collection array. This doesn't cost anything, by the way. This ability has a cooldown of 60 seconds. So you're going to have to be building a lot of these because they are going, also the build time's cut in half from 60 to 30 seconds. They're the only way you can build prisms. They're how you get collection arrays. So while technically you could start with one the entire game and bounce it around and build arrays, arrays do not, I don't think, mine a lot by themselves. I don't know if they retain that. We're going to have to see. But to get full resources, to get full mining, you're going to have to build the prism. So you're going to be building a decent amount of these arc ships. And their health has been buffed by 400. And we have Fates. Yes! We have the Fates Send back on the Flying Arc Fortresses. I love this ability. Even if I've lost games to it, it's fun. You know, the parting laser setup here where it's like, where'd my base go? Big fan. This does 1200 damage over 10 seconds to structures. Collection Array. Work to be a mining structure rather than some sort of hybrid command structure mining structure. You build it from arc ships instead of the quick macro panel through morph cores. You can no longer build prisms. No longer has any abilities. Supply cost decreased from 4 to 0. So supply is going to continue to make a little bit more sense. Health decreased from 800 to 600. Sorry, Ariel, but arc ships are more. Build cost is now, it doesn't cost anything. It is free. It takes 25 seconds to build. No longer auto harvest. So it's all about the prisms now, which means you will need to go and build arc ships. And can no longer lift off. The Morph Core can no longer be built from a structure. Can no longer attack. But all celestial structures, with the exception of the arc ship and the collection, arc ship, arc fortress, arc station, arc fortress, and the collection array, gain a new ability called matter reallocation, which turns the structure into a morph core. It takes 5 seconds. You'll be refunded the cost of the structure minus 50 Illuminite. I thought it was 90%. Anyway, minus 50 Illuminite. And they can now morph into any structure with the exception of the arc ship variants and the collection array. A cost to do so is the original cost of the structure minus 50 Illuminite. So effectively, once you have a structure down, it's pretty free. Right? Yeah. The time it takes to morph into a structure is now the same as the normal build time of the structure, so it doesn't speed it up. But you can now only morph within cascade fields with the exception of building arc ships. So you can only build within cascade fields. Arc ships are not the exception there. I don't think you can morph core around. I don't think you can morph core into a structure around a building arc ship. That might be what this is saying. We're going to have to test this. Also costs 0 supply. Power bank, link node, strike node, warp node. These structures have been removed from the game and replaced with the following: the Grace Light node, the Judicator node, and the Energizer node. All 3 structures have the same stats: 280 health, 50 starting energy, 100 max energy. Grace Light node is the buildable one, costing 100 Luminite and taking 10 seconds to build. The Judicator and Energy nodes are not buildable naturally. However, all 3 nodes can be turned into one another at no cost. Morphing into other nodes does require a creation chamber, so you're not going to be able to go Judicator node rush without a creation chamber. I'm looking at you, Rovi. Morphing to a Judicator node, it takes 30 seconds. Morphing to the end of the other nodes takes 10 seconds. Each of these has a unique ability. Grace Light is the healing, heals the target for 600 HP over 30 seconds. It's canceled if you're damaged. Costs 25 energy. It's a buff version of Skyward Salvation that used to be on the arc ship. Attacks enemy units for some amount of damage, unknown. 10 energy per shot, so 10 shots in a fully full Judicator node. Energizer node transfers energy to friendly units. Ability that used to be on power banks. Does this energize structures? Can I use an Energizer node to power up my Judicator nodes? Because they removed that on power banks back a little bit ago. But unknown. Therian Purifier has been removed from the game. The upgrades have been moved onto the Sovereign's Fury upgrade is no longer there. I'm pretty sure Sovereign's Watch is gone as well. Celestial Hyperdrive is on the Guardian Nexus. So, Celestial Hyperdrive now on the Guardian Nexus. Eon Gate's cost in Luminite has been doubled, but it is smaller, so it's a little bit easier to fit into your kind of static or your SimCity. It requires an arc station to build instead of anything else beyond that. Right-click to load will now have a higher priority than right-click to rally. Sentry Post rally commands will no longer be set for the quick macro panel. So it seems like they're giving it the Sentry Post treatment. So Aeon Gate also, you're not going to be able to set the rally from the quick macro panel, which is, it's a small thing, but it's really nice. I can't, if I put an Aeon Gate across the map, I don't really have to worry about accidentally misrallying it because I'm changing where my creation chambers are coming from. Prism has been changed, so it's equivalent. Should be just about the same. This should just be about the same. For 12 is, that's 400. 40 times 100 is, well, 4,000. It's 4,800 total versus 9. No, that's not right, right? Is it? 480. There we go. I'm like, that's not right. 480. So it is actually a buff overall, I think. So it's 900. Sorry, it's 450. Yeah, no, it's the same. It's just about the same. Don't do math on stream, kids. Doesn't work. Supply decreased from 3 to 1. Not as tanky. Not as much vision. They move a little bit faster. Max charges increased. Starting charges from 1 to 3. Build recharge time to 14 seconds. 14 prisms to enhance an array. No longer has to return to base to mine Therium, which is very celestial. Outer radius decreased from 0.8 to 0.45, so they move around terrain a little bit better. No longer accelerates the longer it moves. Now a ground unit can now attack ground units and trees. So they're like imps and servos. This is the thing. I have no idea how this is going to work out here. I don't have a lot of analysis. It's more granular, which is nice. And yeah, there we go. Argent has lost 1 damage, 1 base damage, not the bonus versus heavy, but their high energy bonus is now from 300% increased damage to 400% increased damage. So I don't know if this is 500% total or 400% total, but you do a lot. You do more damage on the burst, but not quite as much on the steady state damage, which also means you charge up to 400% a little bit slower as well. Kree's upgrade has been nerfed by 50. We're already seeing a lot of Kree play. This should make them even more accessible as we kind of look around, making so that it's not just all Argents all the way down. Scanners no longer cost Therium. They cost double Luminite. A little bit more HP, no longer flies, but you can still go up into trees. And it's now a tier 1 unit. Just needs a creation shaper, which I like. I do like that they're adding a little bit more scouting potential kind of across the board. I think scanners are really cool and they're cute. And I'm very happy to see Celestials getting a couple more scouting options early on. Now do Infernals. Cabals have been buffed a little bit. Debilitate movement slow has been increased by 10%. You got to be careful here. There have been times when Cabals are just oppressively OP against everything. But we'll see. Again, this is a big change to Celestial, so I don't have a lot of good things to ground this on. Vectors have been buffed by 25 Luminite, and they cluster a little bit more. Should move around terrain a little bit better as well. So they already were okay against like Spriggans. This makes it a little easier to make that transition reactively to the Spriggan buff. So yeah, sure. Scythe in general has also been buffed by 50. Man, poor dragons, guys. Dragons come out slower. They have less ability. And now scythes are coming out much faster to deal with them. 50 Luminite is nothing to take lightly. So anti-air here, vectors and scythes together are being a really nice options for the Celestials now, because they were kind of struggling anti-air a little bit. And a lot of this also takes into account that the Sovereign's Watch is no longer a thing. So you do need a little bit stronger unit-based defense for your bases. Seraphim now do quadruple damage to Stormgates instead of triple damage. We're already seeing like Mixu occasionally mix in a couple Seraphim for tier 2 for the second Stormgate, for the 7-minute Stormgate to go and like claim it. So I should increase it there. And they still have Resolute Zeal to shut down static defense if the game goes to tier 3. Animancer clusters a little bit more. There we go. Stormgates now function free for all for custom maps. Awesome. Faerun has been nerfed, which is good. The problem with Faerun was you would just never run out of energy on it because it would just regenerate energy too fast, but more importantly, it would heal too much HP per energy. So energy cost is now double, 1 per second, and it heals less for that amount. So it doesn't heal as fast. You use energy faster. Remains to be seen if this is enough of a nerf, but it's significant. Darkthrone's now tier 3. Good. Getting an extra base on tier 2 was giga broken. Power Stone can no longer stack with itself. Damn, that was fun. But you can no longer like have a 5-stack dragon or something. A duplicator removed from tier 2. Tier 3 version now grants 2 soul forges down from 3. So between dragon getting pretty heavily nerfed and this, I think this should be fair. Trample dragon may still be a problem. We're gonna keep an eye on it. I may end up banning it from tournaments again, but we'll see. Also, whole host of bug fixes for campaign. That's fine. Versus canceling a shrine morph into an Elder Shrine after full transformation no longer leaves the Elder Shrine model intact, which was confusing. Targeted abilities could fail to cast in the active selection. Fixed. Prisms assigned to full collection arrays now correctly appear as idle workers. Nice. Move line drag has seen an improvement as well. It includes a customizable distance threshold available in the settings menu when toggled on. The distance lowering this threshold enables more precise line drawing, although activation will occur more quickly. So a little bit more control versus if you want to only use it occasionally. This is just kind of a preference thing, and we'll see how this works out. I haven't really seen players use it a lot in like high level games just yet. Increased refresh rate results in smoother, more responsive line rendering. No longer issue move orders when right-clicking on enemy units. Nice. Follows the same input rules as drag selection. When active, camera movement is disabled, hotkeys are ignored, and abilities cannot be activated. Okay. A skirmish bots now prioritize unit production more effectively instead of overcommitting to structure building. Rejoin is now enabled. Ooh, that's cool. Added brutal difficulty to AI skirmishes to better align across all modes. Co-op. Gaunt uses the updated Gaunt projectile. Gaunt now responds to the correct infernal voice lines. Harbinger now uses the updated infernal model. And Malloc no longer loses sound effects. Also, as far as I can tell, some of the bugs with using top bar, I'm pretty sure those are fixed. I was trying to test this out. Pretty sure that's the case. Editor, whole host of stuff. I don't know enough about editor to talk about it, but yay, editor fixes. Make more cool stuff. Art resolved an issue that causes striped texture shadow artifacts on things. Boneyard Infernal Skull now has its proper texture. Cabal Animancers will now correctly appear stealth when exiting a searched Aeon Gate. I could have sworn you searched Aeon Gates no longer provided stealthing. Maybe that's a co-op thing. Hellforge chains now animate correctly when constructed. Fixed missing death animations from Marauder Bruiser, Piper, and Cleaver units. That's a campaign thing. Or a co-op thing. Solar Habs and Ramparts no longer display damage via VFX at full health. Color flickering on Stormgates when transitioning from captured deactivated to deactivated. Tribute Pyre now retains correct lighting after being built. Shroudstone is now... It was already animated, wasn't it? New model for the Infernal Shrine. That's not a bug fix, but yeah, it's now Darkhold. Or it may have been changed. I don't know, but I don't know if the name's changed, but it's the Darkhold thing. And Fiends now play proper sound effects, an issue where certain units would not play attack structure audio. Adjusted Stormgate mixed levels for improved clarity and balance during gameplay, so we'll actually hear things when Stormgates are going. Thank you. Tree destruction sound mix to better blend with environmental audio. Also, they added physics to trees and other things, so that's kind of cool. But now, on to the other side of this, which is the roadmap. All right, so we also have a roadmap here that has been released just before the patch notes. So we're going to talk about this at the same time. And it goes into 3 different areas. If you want to know more about what Campaign 1 versus near future versus on the horizon means, I got an interview with Tim Campbell coming up tomorrow. That's going to go into this more. Campaign 1, I don't know that I need to talk about this too much. We went over everything. They are releasing the soundtrack, which is really nice. I do love the Celestial soundtrack in particular, so I'm very excited about that one. Play progression, new campaign, map editor out for everyone, big Celestial economy changes, all that. In the near future, which like the next couple patches, Team Mayhem, which I'm very excited about. I can't say anything about it. I'm under NDA for the playtests, but from the dev blogs, it seems pretty cool. The game editor alpha, so data editor and trigger editor, not just the terrain editor. I'm so excited for that. That is actually going to be so cool. New units getting added in, so Pandora, please, hopefully, tier 3, things like that. More Celestial faction updates. Because right now we had the economy changes, and we're just waiting for the unit changes to go along with it. Expanded skirmish mode with new challengers. I'm actually kind of excited for that. Sometimes you just don't want to play against someone, and you just want to go and play against the computer, or just like hang out, pausable, whatever. And I play a lot of Dota, right? As an aside, and I think probably a third of the games I play in Dota are just against the bots, because I'm like, yeah, I can practice mechanics. It's fun. I can pause it. Low impact. Awesome. So I do enjoy this feature because, playing against AI for StarCraft has never really been there. It's just like, if you're above platinum, probably it's not a challenge. It's not fun. So adding in these is awesome. And ongoing sound improvements, which I'm a little sad they're not in campaign 1, but again, you have to prioritize. You got to make things happen. And getting a really good sound pass is going to do so much for this game. So hopefully that's going to continue. We're going to get there. And then looking further afield, co-op's going to be overhauled, relaunched. That's going to be, I know a lot of people have been asking for that one. I don't know what the timeline is on that, but it's after this near future. Team Mayhem will be officially out. Awesome. I cannot wait to host tournaments for that one. If it's as cool as they're promising, it should be a lot of fun. Co-op support for Ashes of Earth? Yes, please. There has not, literally every time I talk to my partner about the campaign and things that happen, she's like, oh, can we play co-op now? I'm like, no, it's not in yet. She's not an RTS person, but she's very excited to go play through this campaign with me. So please, Frost Giant, hurry this up. Thank you. Also, an Infernal Host campaign. Awesome. Sounds like they're already in, don't know where they are on that one yet, but it is in development in some way. Custom games editor ecosystem support, so like an arcade and other things like that. Awesome. I mean, I keep saying awesome, but yes, that's going to be probably the biggest thing that Stormgate's ever going to get. They're already doing really cool stuff with custom maps, but make it easier to go disseminate, all that. Yes, please. Also, AI placement matches for Proving Grounds. Yeah, I don't really care, you know. It is nice because it means someone new to the game is not going to get thrown into MSRM because of viability or variability. I am really curious to see how they're going to do this because, you know, you would go, and I think the way you would do this is you would play against increasing levels of difficulty AI, and then based on your stats, your APM, your resources spent, resource lost, expansion rates, things like that would be compared against people of relevant skill levels and place you there. And then also we're going to get free campaign missions. They've talked about how it's 12 missions, but there are 2 free ones coming out in the future that are going to make sense. I'm assuming they're prequel missions. I don't know. But that's the roadmap as well, giving you all a look at what's happening in the future. So that's it, right? That is, there we go. Let's make this look a little bit nicer. And that's it. That's the patch. That's the roadmap. Stormgate comes out live tomorrow. I got a long, like hour and 12-minute long interview with Tim Campbell. That's going to go live when the server drops tomorrow. There's going to be a winter show match happening later that day. 9 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Pacific is a 4-player show match I'm running, which is $500, sponsored by Frost Giant. Thank you, Frost Giant. Really appreciate it. A whole bunch of stuff coming out. So make sure to go sub to this channel. Follow me on Twitch so you can catch all this stuff live. And I'll catch you next time as we continue to celebrate, track, enjoy the Necrolyte patch, the Necrolyte launch. See y'all in the Stormgates.